Welcome to the Jan Meeuswsen Garden Show on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. It's your opportunity to learn more about your garden and your yard, about dealing with pests, and about taking care of the birds. You can be part of the show with your questions at 395-1450. That's 395-1450. And now, from DeBruyn Seeds on Washington Avenue in Zeeland, here's the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuswsen.
And good morning, everyone. What a lovely day we have today. A little windy, but that's okay. It kind of brings down the heat that we've had in the past in the afternoon, so we can get out there and plant. No, it is not too late to plant, folks. You can still get stuff in the garden. If you've got a question, phone lines are open, 616-395-1450. That's 616-395-1450. And we've got a new engineer here, so give her lots of calls today so she can practice on those phones. It's always good practice. We still have vegetable plants down at DeBruyn's. We have tomatoes and peppers. I got mine yesterday. And there's cucumbers and squash and broccoli and cabbage and kale and everything else that you might possibly want down there. So, yeah, come on in. We're open until 3 today. Get your plants, but also the flowers. I got a bunch of flowers, too. I like to just kind of mix them all together. I don't ever do all one thing. Used to do that. I like to... Seems like, if I do all of one thing, then it seems like the aphids come by and then they kill it all in July, and then I've got nothing left for the end of the summer. So if I do a bunch of different things, if something doesn't work, something else will just kind of grow bigger. So that's my thought now at this point in my life. So I just mix a whole bunch of colors together and it looks pretty. I kind of like doing that with my flowers. So, yes, get your flowers out there, too. We still do have onion sets and shallots and garlic, I believe I saw there yesterday also. So you can plant those yet. Onion sets are fun. Keep them in a cool, dry spot. Plant some now, wait 2 weeks, plant some more, wait 2 weeks, plant some more. And then you got like a steady stream of green onions, or if you've got one spot where you've got them so you're going to grow them to get bigger onions. Don't touch those for green onions then. It's kind of fun to do those. I did those for the first time last year. I've done the Texas sweet onion plants for so long. I thought, well, I'll do the onion sets. And I really enjoyed doing them. The green onions were just fun to do. My goodness, they took no time at all to plant. So if you want some green onions that you can take inside and chop up, doesn't take long for them to grow. So, get some onion sets. You're going to ask what's the difference between the white and the red and the yellow. The white is the mildest. The yellow is probably the most popular. The red's going to be a little zippier in flavor, but they're basically all, they're onions, and they make wonderful green onions. So you can go from there. So yes, have fun with the onion sets. We still have some seed potatoes left. They're kind of a ragbag type of situation. They're getting old. They need to get in the ground ASAP. So if you want some seed potatoes, I would get them soon. I'm sure they're almost gone by now. I don't make that long walk to the back anymore to check. So I don't see any new being brought up. So, yeah, what we've got is probably what we got. So if you want to do potatoes, maybe you've got a first planting already in and you want to do some more, you got plenty of time to do that. It is only the beginning of summer. It is only June 1 right now. Now is the time to get your cucumbers and your squash and your, not your pumpkins quite yet, but your cucumbers and your squash, you can get those in. Doing pickles, you can do those. They have a short time. You could do several pickings of those during the summer. Green and yellow beans, too, they don't take very long. I do some now. I'll wait 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'll plant some more, and that way I can get a steady stream of them. You can plant them all the way through to mid-July and still get a harvest of beans. So, if you want to, the first is just going to be fresh eating, and the second's going to be for freezing or canning or whatever. And the third's going to be for fresh eating again. You can do it that way. It's rather than, so you get plant the ones that are meant to get all at one time, that are meant for canning, like Blue Lake is a great one to can or freeze. I have done the jade with great success. I also did last year the Lewis and the Slenderette, which both of them, I loved both of them. They were both wonderful green beans. Yellow beans, everybody but me likes the Carson at work. I'm not a big Carson fan, but I love Goldilocks. I think that is the prettiest yellow color ever. And it is one of the tenderest yellow beans you will ever have. So I really like that one. And now they're probably both out by now at DeBruyn's. I don't get in there as much as I used to, but yes, there is still time for beans, so don't worry about that. Lima beans, again, they shouldn't even be in the ground yet. The ground isn't quite warm enough. They really need warm temperature of soil. So wait a little bit on the lima beans there. Pumpkins, unless you want pumpkins in the end of August, wait to plant those. Mid-June is when our growers get their pumpkins and plant them. So you've got a little time to get your pumpkin patch, whatever. You got to get quite a big section there. Even the bush type pumpkins take up a little more room than an average plant does. So get your space going for your pumpkins, but it's a little early to plant them because we want them in October. We don't want them in August. So just kind of keep that in mind. Some of our cool weather plants, such as lettuce, some of those things, they go, when we get these hot afternoons in the sun, they'll go to seed. And what happens is it sends up a stalk with its flower stalk. And then the leaves kind of turn really bitter, and they're basically done for. Just pull them out of the ground. You can plant it again in the fall, in like mid-August, so you can get some in September and October. But yeah, pretty quickly the lettuce will be done for, and some of the other warm weather things. Peas, the peas will still grow and they'll still have flowers on them. The problem is the flowers will just fall off in the hot weather rather than staying on to develop into a pod. So peas are always a better thing to do in the cool weather. If you didn't get them done this spring, I would probably wait until fall. Mid-August would be a great time to plant another batch of peas, and then they'll come ripe during the cooler fall temperatures, and you'll really actually appreciate them more in the fall because no one ever does them, and you'll be eating fresh peas. I mean, how good is that? Yeah, so you missed out in the spring, but you still get them in the fall. It is a little late to do strawberry plants. They're a thing of the past. Asparagus, again, a thing of early spring. Those are early spring things. We usually get the ground ready for them in the fall so we can plant them first thing in the spring. So it's not something, usually by the time you see something in the market, like the asparagus we're seeing in the market, that means it's too late to plant it. So don't even, you might try, but it's not going to be very successful anymore. So it's just one of those things that you kind of put on your calendar to get the area dug out, all ready to go for the spring, and put that on your calendar for, say, September, October. Might be a good thing to do now. and concentrate more on the things that love the hot weather. And there are a lot of them: corn, beans, cucumbers, squash, okra, all of that just loves the hot weather. So bring it on. There's lots of stuff you can put in the garden right now that's going to love the summer. And remember, the garden is not something that you plant once in the spring and then you go, oh, well, I planted it, and then go on vacation. The garden is something that we really need to be watching all the time. We need to be watering it. We need to be weeding it. We need to be taking care of it. We need to watch for insect problems. They're much easier to catch, if you just have one plant that's got some damage to it, than if you've got a whole row of potatoes just covered in potato beetles. If you could have caught that first plant, you would not have had this humongous problem. So keep an eye on your plants and don't be afraid to spray them when necessary. Sometimes it is necessary to spray, and don't tell me that organic people don't spray, because they do it a lot more often than, say, the regular farmers do. But you need to spray when you have a problem. Don't think that it's just going to go away, or maybe some good bugs will come along and get rid of all the bad bugs. If that were true in the world, we would never have to do anything in our gardens. So keep an eye out for those first leaves that look a little bit raggedy, and then look for the source of it, what's going on, and then try figuring out what's the answer, what's the easiest way and least lethal way to kill these things and still keep a harvest going. And there's lots of different things that you can use in your garden, and there's lots of things that you can't use in your garden. So make sure that you read the directions on whatever you're going to use, and make sure it is safe to use in your garden. There are a lot of things that are not. So make sure it has garden on the label and you follow what it says on the label. If you're mixing up a liquid and it says 1 ounce per gallon of water, that's what you use, 1 ounce per gallon of water. 2 ounces is not going to be better. 1 ounce is what they've done all the testing. This is what, you don't have a resistant bug. This is what works. So use it, and use it according to the package directions. If it says to use a mask, put a mask on. If it says to use long pants and long sleeves, wear long pants and long sleeves when you spray. Follow the directions. That's the Bible. That's it. I mean, they've done a lot of testing for it. So we follow the directions explicitly. And we spray a herbicide or an insecticide. We spray this. An herbicide is something that kills plants. An insecticide is something that kills insects. But we spray early morning. And we're going to talk more about that right after these messages. I like this music. Okay, well, we are back with the garden show. Phone lines are open, 616-395-1450. 616-395-1450 is the number to call. And we were talking about how the correct way to spray anything in your garden, or your lawn for that matter. If you're going to spray for weeds in your lawn, or even insects in your lawn, please mow the lawn first so you get rid of any dandelions or clover or anything that might be blooming in the lawn. Then there's no reason why the bees would even come on your lawn. So you don't really have to worry about it that much. In your garden, you do have to worry about it. So we are going to water. We're going to apply anything very early morning before the bees are up and around, or in the evening at twilight is a good time. Bees are not around again that point in time. So we want to spray the foliage only. There is no reason to spray the flowers. So make sure, take your time, spray the foliage only. Bees usually don't land on the foliage, so we don't have to worry about that. They're not going to, walk all over the foliage. They go right to the flower. That's what they're there for. So we're going to be very mindful when we spray, and we're going to be very careful when we spray of where our liquid or whatever we're spraying is going where it is supposed to go. Now, remember, everything kills bees. Don't think that, oh, I've got some organic thing. It will still kill bees. Everything kills bees. Insecticidal soap will kill bees. So yes, I can't think of anything less innocuous than that. But it will kill bees too. So just remember, everything will kill bees, and we want to not kill bees. So we don't spray the flowers. We don't just go out there with a hose and just, douse the whole garden off. That's very irresponsible right now. We do really want our pollinators. So don't be spraying everything. Now, also remember, butterflies pollinate just like bees do. And so we do want to encourage the butterflies to come too. But remember, half the life of a butterfly is a little caterpillar. So don't be, complaining about the caterpillars all the time when they could be a very beautiful butterfly coming out. I always plant some dill and parsley just for the fact that the swallowtail butterfly loves to lay its eggs on that, and they will just devour your dill and your parsley. They like carrots too, by the way. They'll just devour all the greens, and they're a really cute little not even a little caterpillar. They're a bigger caterpillar. That's a good yellow and black and green stripe. Very, very distinguished looking caterpillar. Don't be pulling that off and trying to kill it, because that one is a beautiful swallowtail butterfly, which is a good pollinator. So we don't want to kill that. Now there are some that I could care less about, like those white little moth type things. They're small white butterflies that are going to be fluttering above your broccoli and your cabbage and those sorts of plants. And they lay eggs, and it turns into those little, they call them loper, not caterpillars, but little lopers. And they're not even half-inch long. They're very thin, inchworm type things. That's what they turn into, and they just love to eat. And they'll just sit and make a hole in your cabbage, or just eat your broccoli or your Brussels sprouts. We don't want those. So if you start seeing the little white butterflies flying around, cover your plants. It's as simple as that. There's row cover that you can get. It's white. It is sheer. You just put them on over your plants. Put it all the way, kind of from the soil on one side to the soil on the other. Cover all your rows of those things so the butterfly can't get down there and lay its little eggs. Hey, it's just genius. The water can still get through. Everything can still get through. They aren't a pollinator type plant, so you don't have to worry about that. Once the danger is gone, you can pull it back, save it for, if you get a frost or whatever some point in time. It will work well for that too. But the row cover, very inexpensive way to go. Some people use cheesecloth. That might be just a little bit heavier than a row cover, but that would work also. Just as long as they can't get through the cheesecloth, and I don't think that they can. You're all set. Got to keep those little guys away so they don't get on your plants in the first place. So, okay, we're going to, protect our plants if we possibly can by covering them up. We're going to spray at the correct time of day and use the correct, and using the correct insect killer or herbicide. That's very important. Um, there's a million different insecticides out there. Know what you're trying to kill. I mean, if you're trying to kill Colorado potato beetle, you can actually spray BT for that, and that will not hurt anything else. But it will when the beetle eats it, it messes up their stomach and then they die. So it works for them. So you can spray them with BT, and that's Bacillus thuringiensis, and that's just a protein found in the soil. That works fine for them. Um, so you don't have to get out the big guns just to kill something like that. But they multiply so quickly, you're going to want to keep that on hand, because you're going to need to do it. Sometimes you mix spraying with actually going out in the garden, and again, this is like you don't just plant a garden and walk away and there's no work. You actually are going to look under the leaves, and what you're looking for is a bunch of little bumps. Those are insect eggs. Take a putty knife or a knife or something, scrape them off into a tin can, a soup can full of soapy water, and that's how to get rid of them. The Colorado potato beetle, really easy to see because they're bright yellow eggs underneath the leaves. Some of them are green leaves. Some different insects are green little bumps down there, little eggs, and it's harder to see it. But if you do see them, scrape them off into the to the tin can full of soapy water. Yeah, throw some dish detergent in some water and throw that in there. And we do have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. You are on the Garden Show.
Oh, good morning, Jan.
Good morning.
I have a question about pests myself. About 15 years ago, I purchased quite a few of those little bare root bushes that are native to Michigan from the Conservation District.
Okay.
You can get them just for hardly any money at all, and they grow like crazy. Well, they did beautifully. And the high bush cranberry has been so gorgeous. But the last couple of years, something was eating its leaves, and I thought, okay, well, maybe it'll just leave. The bug will just leave, but it didn't, and it killed the high bush cranberries,
the
two I had. It just riddled them. The leaves were just riddled. And I looked up, the closest I could come was a leaf beetle, a viburnum leaf beetle.
Yes.
Something about the high bush cranberry being a member of the viburnum family.
Yep.
Have you heard about this attacking high bush cranberries?
I didn't know that they attack cranberries, but I've heard of the pest before, and they can do a number. Yes.
Well, it's just heartbreaking.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm looking at the one now. I'm going to have to cut it down. Of course, it's dead. About 15 feet high and beautiful shape, and the big flowers. Those high bush cranberries are something. The birds. One year, early spring, I had it full of robins eating those berries. But any advice or anything on your end?
Boy, the thing is just to keep an eye on it. You never know when they're going to attack, and I swear you can go out there one day and look at it, and 2 days later you can look at it and, oh my goodness, they're covered. But get out there and spray early morning. Get out there and spray.
Morning. Well, thanks so much. And I wondered if that was because there are so many of those all through Michigan, those bushes, wild and in our yards. And well, thanks so much, and I'll see what I can do.
Yes. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, we do have to keep an eye on these things. Even if they're native, they still get hit by different insects. So, it's and remember that a plant needs all of its leaves in order to live because it gets its energy through its leaves. So if an insect is sapping all the energy and eating the leaves, your plant is not going to do very well. So, keep an eye on that. And also, I had someone bring in a fir tree the other day, and they have balsam adelgid on that. And how you tell is it looks like a little piece of cotton got stuck between where the needle hits the branch, and it was pretty firmly enveloped. They had a hard time figuring out that there really was an insect down underneath there. They're easy enough to get rid of, but you do have to spot them and look at them. So check out all of your hemlock trees and your fir trees, like a Douglas fir, if you've got some of those in your landscape. Check them all out for those little pieces of what looks like cotton stuck between where the little needle goes into the branch. They're carried by birds, so it's usually kind of in the middle of the tree first, but it spreads very quickly. The good thing is you can kill it very quickly. So once you identify it, this is something that you can take care of very, very easily. The BioAdvanced Tree and Shrub will take care of that for you. So just pour it around the base. We need to stop and listen to the news now, but we will be back with the Garden Hour right after this happens. Right, this song's kind of familiar, kind of like that music. Before the break, I can't even remember what we were talking about, but that's okay. We're going to keep continuing on talking about all the things I wanted to mention today because there are so many of them. The spring bulbs that have gone bad, that have turned brown and look horrible in your landscaping, you can cut those back now and you can plant your annuals around it. Now, don't plant your perennials around where your tulip bulbs, if you're leaving them in the ground, don't put perennials there because they've got to share the space and sometimes they don't share well. Someone's roots are going to get stepped on and they're not going to like it. But if you plant some annuals in that area, that will be just fine because annuals are only one season. So get those annuals in around where your tulips went bad. My daffodils still have their foliage there. I can have daffodil foliage till the 4th of July. Don't cut that off until it turns yellow because we want as much to be sent back to the roots as absolutely possible because we want that to come back year after year. Daffodils will naturalize well as long as you don't mess around with their foliage. So wait until it turns yellow and dies for you to cut it back. My early spring daffodils, they're about ready to cut back right now. Usually it's the later ones that take forever. But, I start planting annuals in that area and, hey, yeah, okay. Then it's always so nice when I finally can just cut back all of those things. But I've got some annuals in there, so cut them off. If you want to move them, it's best to wait until they have pulled all of their energy back down to the roots. It just makes it so much easier. Then you can cut off the top, pull out the bulb, store it in a cool, dry place over the summer. You can lightly dust off the dirt that's on it, but don't wash them off or do anything like that. Let's keep them dry until fall, and then you can put them back in the fall. So don't be doing that now. Really, it's not really a good time to do that, but it is a good time if you're keeping them in to give them a little bulb food. Bulb tone would be a great big help to them right now to help them as they're getting their energy back down to their roots. And again, remember in the fall we're going to put some bulb tone down also where we had our spring bulbs. Sometimes we don't always remember where the spring bulbs are. Like, are they over here or over here? Take a picture of where they are. That's usually the best. And then you can go by, it's on this side of the bush and it's just to the right of this. That helps immensely. So taking pictures, and then even when you're going in to fill them in the fall, I really needed a lot more red over here, or I need more of this over here. You've got pictures which show you where they're already planted. So you're not going to be digging up what you've already planted next fall when you redo them. So, those pictures, keep them. They help immensely. Um, Moss in the lawn, this is a great time of year for that moss to show up. It's easy enough to get rid of the moss. There are moss killers that you can spread on with a fertilizer spreader, or you can spray moss killer on and then rake it out, or you can just rake out the moss. The problem being, moss is an opportunistic plant. And what that means is it will grow where other things won't grow. So you probably want grass there, but the grass isn't suited there. It's not, doesn't have enough sunlight. It doesn't have enough air circulation, poor soil. All of those can lead to moss building up and not grass building up. So you want to kill the moss. If you want to put grass in there, kill the moss, get rid of it. You want to get more sunlight in there. That's the number one thing. So if it's just trees that are in the way, cutting down a few trees might help, or just getting rid of some of the canopy, trimming that down so you get a little more dappled sunlight down there. But grass needs sunlight, 4 to 6 hours of sunlight a day. So, that's why you don't see grass in the middle of a forest. There's a reason why. And even the most shade loving of grasses needs some sunlight. I'd look at what people call shade grass seed, and it's basically got, a little bit of fescue in it, which is the most shade tolerant of the grasses. But a lot of times it will just have annual ryegrass. Well, that comes in really quick this time of year, or earlier this year, before the leaves came on the trees. And then it just kind of loses its density over the summer. If you really do have some shady spots, some turf gem fescue might be your best bet. But again, don't expect all of it to last all summer long. It might just kind of fade away, and you'll just be doing this every spring, is putting down grass seed. And we're at the end of the season for putting down grass seed now. We don't get as much rain right now anymore. The days are a little hotter. The sunshine is pretty intense. I don't know if you just sat outside in the sunshine in the afternoon this week, but it's a little hot out there during the afternoon. So, and that's a little hard and it's hard to keep that grass seed well watered while it's establishing itself, and you're going to probably need to water it, with the sunlight that we've had all week, 4 times a day at least, just to keep that top layer moist enough for the grass to germinate and the grass to grow. And it's not just waiting until it first comes out of the ground. You got to keep watering it until it's pretty well established and you're mowing it. So you need to have, the sprinkler system on, or the sprinklers over there, and maybe on some sort of timer that they go off, because it's really hard to do this. I thought I could do it just by walking out there and hosing my areas down one year. And you know what? Yeah, I forgot it. Within the first week, I forgot all about that grass seed. So didn't really come in well. So that is my problem. So if you want to do it, putting down a mulch on top of it, it will probably help you out a lot. We need to stop, take a break, and we'll be back with the close of the garden show after this. It is the end of the garden show here. We've got a few minutes left and the phone lines are open. 616-395-1450. 616-395-1450 is the number to call if you have any questions about what we've been talking about, or questions about your garden or your grass or whatever you need to question about. I don't remember mulch. I was going to kind of touch on mulch right now. Spring is the time to put down a covering of mulch over your landscape beds. There are a few things to remember. It does help keep down weeds. It helps keep the water in. So mulch is a good thing to put around all of your flowers and your bushes, etc., in the landscape beds. 2 to 3 inches is more than enough. And please, please, please avoid the dreaded tree volcano. Don't just pile mulch up on the side of the tree so it looks like it's a cone. We do not want that. The mulch on the side of the tree is not a good thing. You need to pull that mulch back at least 2 to 3 inches away from the tree, and then you'll be fine. So when you're putting down the mulch, just remember you need that space around the tree to be completely void of any mulch, not piled up high into a cone shape. That is not the thing to do. Oh, good grief. I always want to jump out of the car and just rescue those poor trees when I see that. Oh, it just makes me want to cry. I don't know who does it, but I don't know if people think that looks good, but no, don't be doing the tree volcano. We don't like that. And don't use uncomposted grass clippings or leaves as mulch, because they will make a thick, smelly, unsightly mat that inhibits moisture going through and oxygen getting down there. So that's not a good thing. So you just use mulch or just use compost. Make sure it's something that has been totally composted before you put it down around your landscape beds. And it's a good workout. I remember, getting a couple of yards of mulch and putting it down. It's a good thing to do. Kind of fun thing to do. Now we're going to talk a little bit about birds till the end here. I am getting a ton of birds by my feeders right now, as well as ducks. And I've got 2 geese that come up now too and try get underneath the feeder and try get as much as they can. It is so much fun during the summer. We have so many summer visitors. The bird bath, it's off my deck, so at least the ducks and the geese can't get at it. But it's a fun thing to watch. All the birds that are walking in there. If your bird bath is a little deep, you might want to consider putting some flat stones in it. So, maybe the birds aren't quite so deep, but I'll tell you, those robins, they're in there. They're just splashing away. It looks like, remember when you were kids and splashing away in the bathtub? That's what they look like. It's so much fun to watch them. You just have to smile when you watch them. I remember coming home from work once, and I could see the bird bath when I come in the back door, and I'm looking out there in the backyard and I'm like, what is in that bird bath? It's black. It's like taking up the whole bird bath. What in the world is that? It was a really hot day. And I went out there because a lot of times I will refresh the water in the afternoon, just bring some out there because they've already splashed so much of it out of there. What in the world is out there? So I'm bringing some more water out there to see what's going on. And it is a black squirrel laying on its back in the bird bath with its feet kind of out of the bird bath and its tail hanging over the side. And it was thoroughly enjoying laying there in the water like you would in a little swimming pool. I didn't have the heart to shoo him out of there, but I've never seen it again. But that little black squirrel was having just the time of his life. He found a nice cool spot on a hot afternoon. But that's what those bird baths are. And you get a lot of different birds at a bird bath than you would at a feeder. There are some, birds that just eat insects and are not going to be at your feeders that often, if ever, but they will come to your bird bath. So, that is like one of the funnest things ever to have out there. in the summer. In the winter, it's kind of fun to watch them just, take a drink. But in the summer, it is just a fun place to be with all the splashing and whatever. So keep the bird baths filled. Remember, when we get hot and humid, get those mosquito dunks out and get those in there, so the mosquitoes don't that we don't get the larvae in the water and get more mosquitoes. So again, it doesn't hurt the birds. Mosquito dunks will just help keep the standing water clear of that sort of thing. That's a good thing to just have on hand for when it does get really warm and humid out, and the mosquitoes are going to be coming out soon, and we don't want piles of standing water. So there is something to put in there. And if you do have ponds or whatever, mosquito dunks are great things to put in there. It does prevent any larvae. It kills any larvae. It doesn't hurt fish, doesn't hurt birds. So, and it doesn't hurt you. So that is one thing that we need to stock up on. Stock up on sugar water. You can make your own, 4 parts water to 1 part sugar. I usually like to use water out of the kettle so it's hot, so it dissolves the sugar quite well. And what I don't pour in the feeder, I put in the refrigerator for the next time. Keep the stuff outside 3 to 4 days tops. We can get a lot of bacteria that grows in there otherwise, and that is never a good thing. So keep it fresh. If it does get cloudy at all, then you do have to replace it and clean it out and put in fresh water. You can clean it out with a very dilute bleach solution, or honestly, you can just use some hot water and clean out the feeder, and that will be fine too. And then put in some new nectar and put it back out, and the birds will be just really, really happy. And if you're one of those that's lucky enough to have a humbug feeder that you put the rotten banana in, those things work so fun. Tracks the little fruit flies and other little insects that the birds love to eat. You'll see them just kind of hovering around there and just picking off insects as they come out of there. So much fun. And honestly, I can't say when I haven't had a banana going bad on the counter, so I never don't have something to put in there. We have to say goodbye for the day, but I will be back Tuesday morning at 8:35 or so with Dan for the garden party. And then later on Tuesday, I will be on at between 10 and 11 on Talk of the Town with the Garden Hour with Gary. And the most important thing is I will be back here next Saturday at 11:05 with the Garden Show. So until next week, Saturday at 11:05, all I can say is go green.
You've been listening to the Jan Meeuswsen Garden Show on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com. If you wish to hear this or other programs hosted by the Master Gardener from DeBruyn Seeds in Zeeland, check out the podcast section of our website, WHTC.com, and listen or download for free. The Jan Meeuswsen Garden Show is a presentation of 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.